Hi, and welcome to Scarlet Arcana Tarot. This is going to be a general reading for the sign of Sagittarius. Not specifically a time frame, just trying to pull the energies just to see what's going on with you guys out there in the Sagittarius collective. It looks like the rainstorm just started here, so hopefully the power won't get cut out. I hope everyone is doing well out there in the collective. I know most of the country it's been really hot, so nothing new there. I'm not going to complain about the heat. It's kind of pointless, but we'll get an overall read, Sagittarius, and see what's going on with you. Okay. So to start, we have the Five of Pentacles in the upright. So Sagittarius, maybe some of you out there in the collective are feeling left out of something. You might be feeling like if this was you in a relationship that you were close to someone, but then suddenly you were shut out and you're kind of wondering what to do at this point. So now you're deciding to focus on not only nurturing yourself, but your career with the Queen of Pentacles in the upright. So this is an opportunity, Sagittarius, to kind of reevaluate your finances, see what areas you could possibly improve in career-wise, maybe look for some lucrative opportunities that are both fulfilling to yourself as well as the wallet. You're also realizing, Sagittarius, that for those I'm speaking to that are coming out of a relationship, you might be realizing how important it is to nurture yourself in a positive way, but also not to overgive to someone else if the feelings aren't mutual. Even though you tend to be a free spirit and you like someone that doesn't put any restrictions on you, there is a part of you that wants to feel like you belong to someone. You want to be with someone, Sagittarius, that is comfortable with and understands your nature. And a lot of times you're misinterpreted as someone that just is non-committal, flight of fancy, you're kind of like the nomad of the zodiac. That's how most people assume that you are, but really what you're looking for, Sagittarius, is you're looking for a higher purpose in your life. So maybe this ending of a relationship, if this resonates with you, is kind of asking you to look at your financial situation and see in what areas physically can you develop in yourself, but also to keep in mind that you won't overgive to someone who is not willing to meet you halfway, or even to overextend yourself to someone who maybe their ideas aren't in line with yours after you really get to know them. And with this Queen of Cups in reverse, Sagittarius, you might feel like you gave and gave, but you weren't getting anything back. You might have even been feeling like the reason why this relationship ended is because maybe there was some sort of a codependency element to it that didn't fit in with your beliefs and your lifestyle. You could have also been dealing with a person, Sagittarius. Another way to read this card with the Queen of Cups in reverse, if it's not a situation where you feel like you gave yourself too much and lost your self-identity, then it's a question of someone that maybe after a while you realize that they were sort of emotionally manipulative. Maybe this was a person that every time you said something they didn't like, maybe they started crying and they, used the guilt trip, and it's just some sort of manipulation to try to convince you to change your mind. But there was no changing your mind. You were willing to give this a chance. If I'm speaking to those Sagittarians that are coming out of a connection, you were willing to give it a chance. It's not that you didn't love this person. It's just that after a while you realized that they weren't after the same things that you wanted. And what you're looking for with this Hangman in reverse, you want a different perspective on it. But it just seems like because it's too fresh, now might not necessarily be the right time to move completely out of it and then evaluate the situation as a whole with the end of the relationship. So you might have to kind of feel the feelings a little bit, get your wits about you, get your bearings, and then you can maybe try to see things in a different way. But I'm getting the overall feeling it's a little bit too new and too fresh and too painful to at least do it at this time. There might have also been some sort of waiting period, and then maybe you were just also tired of waiting for things to change or for things to happen. You know what? Let's, before we read the next card, I want to clarify this Hangman in reverse for my Sagittarius collective. So, Spirit, what is the Hangman in reverse for my Sagittarius collective? What is this Hangman in reverse? It's a little one too many cards. Try it again. All right, so this wanted to come out. Let's see. Five of Swords. So you may have been dealing with a situation where you were manipulated by this other person, and maybe that's why you're feeling like you can't get the new perspective on it, because you felt very hurt. You felt a sense of betrayal. Maybe you realized this person just was manipulative in a number of ways, but when you were dealing with them in your connection, you didn't really see it for what it was. But now that you have the clarity and you see it for what it is, and you see that it was kind of a lose-lose situation, you might not be as upset that it ended, but you still can't get additional insight at this time because, like I said, the manipulation and the betrayal still feels too recent. It feels too fresh, too damaging. But you will get that clarity eventually. It's just that as of right now, it's maybe not the best time to force yourself to overanalyze this situation. You might just have to focus on other things in the meantime. Not saying don't deal with your issues, Sagittarius, but it might just be too much. It might just be too much clutter to go through to make sense of it at the present moment. And then we have the Devil card. So whatever you were dealing with, whether it was a relationship, a work situation, a family situation, at one point in time you felt bound to this other person, this other party that was involved in this with you. But then in retrospect, you're realizing how toxic it was, and that it wasn't something that was going to benefit the partnership. It was almost like you were with this person before, Sagittarius, for all the wrong reasons. It could have been something maybe like everyone said what a great couple you and this person were together, like everything looked great on the surface, but upon further reflection, you're realizing that the relationship was, or even the work partnership was not all it was cracked up to be, that underneath the surface, there was still a lot of toxicity that you had to let go of. This person, Sagittarius, that you're dealing with, could also possibly be in the throes of a major addiction. It happens to all of us, regardless of astrological signs. I've met all different people in walks of life, all different astrological signs that have had substance abuse problems. So it's not like certain astrological signs are more privy than others. It's just kind of a universal thing with life. You just tend to meet all different people with these problems. But that could have been another reason why you realized this connection was toxic, Sagittarius, because you might have been dealing with someone that had a full-blown addiction. And by the time you noticed it, you knew it was too late for them to get help. And you knew that everything you did just maybe at this point would have just simply enabled them. So as hard as it was to end the relationship, it was almost like you knew it was time to do so. But then we have the Ace of Cups in the upright. So it seems like there is a new opportunity for love, possibly, to receive it, to be comfortable with the emotional aspect. But I would like to get clarity on this Ace of Cups. So what is this Ace of Cups for our Sagittarius collective? So it's the Universe card. You're closing out a cycle. So you might possibly be meeting someone new if you put the hurts of the past relationship behind you. The other thing is, too, with this Seven of Cups in the reverse, you feel like it wasn't worth the effort anymore, that you tried and tried and tried, but nothing was coming of it. It wasn't, you weren't growing, they weren't growing. And with this Ace of Pentacles, it could have also could have been financial trouble that was also happening in the midst of this relationship disintegrating. So it could have felt like maybe a chain effect of some sort. So let's say, for instance, you're having problems with your person, Sag, and then you find out like you got a pay cut, or you lost your job, or Sag's person lost their job, and you were going to break up with them, but you had to kind of wait to do that because it wasn't quite the right timing to end the relationship, because there were other factors that happened where it wasn't necessarily the best timing, especially if it was a financial constraint, and say you lived with this person and they were helping you with expenses, and now it's like if they lost their job or you lost yours, it's like, oh, now what do I do? Let's get some more clarifying cards on this. What is Seven of Pentacles in reverse and Ace of Pentacles in reverse? Okay. So, Six of Pentacles in the reverse. You feel like it wasn't reciprocal. It wasn't equal give and take. It's almost like you felt like the other person just took advantage of you with this setback. And Three of Wands, you're waiting for a new opportunity to come, Sag, but you're not sure if it is coming. There's a little bit of a, how do I want to say this? There's a little bit of a reluctance to accept the things that are coming in. It's almost like you feel that they could possibly be too good to be true because of all the other things that you've been through recently. You might feel like no matter how much you try to improve something, that it's all for naught and it's not going to work out. But really, this Three of Wands, the way that I'm reading it's telling you to have faith. So you will get your just desserts. It's just probably going to, could go one of two ways. It could either come quickly with this Eight of Wands, and you might get a lot of communication regarding it. Might fall upon you unaware, and it's going to hopefully put some of this anxiety that you've been feeling to rest with this Nine of Swords in the reverse. So this was a hard decision you had to make, Sagittarius. It wasn't easy, certainly not. These things usually aren't, especially if it was a long-term connection and partnership. But it's almost like you felt like at the end of the day, if there wasn't any effort on their part, that what was the point? It's almost like you were kind of where you were when you started. Almost like wouldn't have made a difference either way, your current situation. But you are trying to deal with it as best as you can, despite all the obstacles. Now, let's see what, to get another perspective, I'm curious to see what is Sagittarius's person thinking of them? How are they feeling during this situation? So, can I get some insight, Spirit, into Sagittarius's person? Can I get some insight into Sagittarius's person? Alright, so we'll pull 4, and if we need to keep going, we'll keep going. So the first card here is King of Swords. Gemini, Libra, Aquarius energy. So Sagittarius, you were dealing with a person that was very intellectual. You were dealing with a person that typically was not very emotional. You were dealing with a person that that you felt was a little bit of a smooth talker. So maybe they conveniently always came up with the right things to say to get out of an argument. And there's also a lot of mystery surrounding this person as well with the Moon card. You're not quite sure what their motives are, Sag. You're not quite sure how they think, you know how they think. I should say it like that. You know how they think, but you don't know how they feel, and you don't know a whole lot about them. It's almost like when you were dealing with this person, you kept finding out other things about them that maybe they didn't want you to know, or maybe they were things that were getting revealed slowly over time that kind of made you tap into your inner knowing and say, well, there's a situation that's going on, but I don't have the full picture. This person's acting a certain way, but there's more to it. This person also could have had very indulgent behavior with the 7 of Cups in the reverse. So even if this wasn't a person that was necessarily an addictive personality in an obvious way on the surface, this was a person that liked indulging in things. So this was a person that maybe, for my adult audiences here, this person, I don't get the impression that they were someone who was apt to be like a serial cheater. But if it's not drugs or alcohol, I'm getting the overall feeling that they might be addicted to porn. Just something that they think is not that big a deal because they're not actively messing around on you, but at the same time it might have been affecting your intimate relationship with this person, and you may have felt like it was a problem because even though it wasn't an obvious addiction, and this is probably only going to resonate for a very small percentage of you, even though it wasn't an obvious addiction, it was enough that it impacted your relationship. You probably addressed it and said something to them to bring it to their attention. But then with this 10 of Swords in the reverse, it's almost like they there may have been some hurtful words exchanged if they were confronted about their addiction, and then you come to find out if it resonates with you. If you dealt with someone that had a severe addiction, it's almost like you kept finding things out about the addiction and found out like how some of the patterns and the behaviors were very hurtful. So you felt like that was a betrayal because you felt like this person lied to you about how bad it really was. And again, I know it probably maybe resonates for a very small percentage of you, but again, that's the impression I'm feeling with this card. Some of my Sages were dealing with a person that had a progressive addiction that just got worse and worse and worse. And then when you finally had the courage to confront them and speak to them about it, it was like the more things you were finding out that they did under the radar just became more and more hurtful. And then you knew that you had to exit the relationship, not just to save them, but to also save yourself. So, Spirit, are there any final messages that you have for my Sagittarius collective? We're going to pull the Moonology Oracle deck. See what messages of advice Spirit has for my Sagittarian collective. So, it's time to release negativity with the full moon in Scorpio. So, with this experience, you're learning to... You're acknowledging it for what it is. You're feeling the hurt, but you also know that you can't hold on to it forever because it's not really going to help you move forward if you do that. I can't really say in this situation if there's going to be a reconciliation or if it's over for good. It's a little too uncertain. But what I will say is that you knew in your heart that it was the right thing to do, even though it felt like an impossible choice, but you knew it was something that you had to do. So then we have worked through your fears, new moon in Scorpio. So these are two Scorpio cards, so maybe you were also dealing with a Scorpio, quite possibly. So you're also taking this time to work on yourself and to maybe work on some issues of possible fear of abandonment or guilt, any major stuff that you've carried throughout most of your life and throughout most of your relationships with people, with work, with lovers, with family. And then it says step outside of your comfort zone with the North Node. So the North Node, for those who are not aware, it's basically your soul's purpose. So depending on what year you're born, the North and South Node are polar opposites in different signs. So I'll use myself as an example. So I was born in 1980. So my North Node is in Leo and my South Node is in Aquarius. So the North Node is basically your soul's purpose. So with mine in Leo, it's saying to express yourself in a creative manner and to promote yourself in a non-selfish way and to be extremely radiant, exuberant, and be an inspiration to people. My South Node is in Aquarius, so they call that your I believe it's your, I'm trying to think of the exact word. So it's your, it's kind of your like karmic lessons, your past life. So for Aquarius, for mine, for example, Aquarius is often the group think, it's the vanguard, it's like the collective of the collective. So with your North Node, you can, there's a lot of free apps out there if you go online. You need all your birth chart information because this will also help you find your rising sign, your moon sign. So all of those components make up your personality and who you are. But your North Node specifically is your vocation. It's your soul's purpose. It's your calling. So maybe what it's saying is, Sagittarius, use this time of transition to find out What really makes you happy? What is your purpose in this world? How can you help yourself and other people during these times? What are you called to do? What are you meant to do? Okay, and with that, that concludes our reading for the sign of Sagittarius. So please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, take care.